Lith. I'm going to make a bold prediction about the future of work. Are you ready? Here it is. The trend we've seen over the past few years will continue. People are going to continue to leave the workforce. Okay, that's not a very bold prediction. Why? Because almost 4 million people have already left the US workforce, just since April of 2021. So it was bound to happen sooner or later. But let me add some more detail to this prediction. People are going to continue to leave the workforce because they can. Technology is making it possible to earn a living without a traditional job, and the trend will continue until something happens to break the link between earning a paycheck and having a traditional job. Let me explain. First, let's look at some other predictions about the future of work that seem equally obvious today. 97% of workers in the US will have a non-traditional career at some point in their lives. A non-traditional career is defined as a career path that doesn't follow the standard path of getting a 4-year degree, getting hired into a company right out of college and retiring from that same company 30 years later. By 2025, 68% of the workforce will be freelancers or independent contractors. Slow, remote work will become the new normal. By 2028, 63% of employed people will work remotely, at least part of the time, and by 2030, AI will take over 50% of all jobs. All of these predictions are widely accepted as being inevitable, but they're actually radical predictions. They represent a massive shift in how we think about work. This shift has been building for decades, but it's only now becoming obvious, because technology has removed the barriers that used to prevent these trends from taking shape. Take remote work, for example. Working remotely was always going to become more common. It was just a matter of time, but it became way more likely when companies like Twitter and Facebook gave their employees the option to work remotely forever. When some of the most recognizable companies in the world make remote work an option, other companies have to follow suit or risk losing top talent. That's why we're seeing more and more companies adopt a remote-first or distributed workforce model. Now, consider the shift away from traditional careers. People have always quit their jobs to start their own thing. But the ability to earn a good living without ever having a traditional job is a recent development. And it's only going to become more common as technology makes it easier and easier to monetize skills like writing, graphic design, web development, and even higher value skills like medicine and law. With platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, Guru, and countless others, anyone with an internet connection can find work doing pretty much anything. So let's circle back to my bold prediction. People are going to continue to leave the workforce because they can. Technology is making it possible to earn a living without a traditional job. And the trend will continue until something happens to break the link between earning a paycheck and having a traditional job. What do I mean by that? Well, there are two things that could happen. The first is that the gig economy gets so big that it becomes the dominant form of work. If that happens, everyone would be working for themselves. There wouldn't be any employers. The second possibility is that employers get fed up with the gig economy and decide to bring all work in-house. If that happens, there would still be jobs, but fewer workers to fill them. Which scenario is more likely to happen? Well, it depends on what happens next with technology. If AI takes over the majority of jobs, then the gig economy is likely to fade away, because there won't be enough humans around to support it. But if humans find ways to work around AI, then the gig economy could grow to encompass all of work. So what does this mean for you? Well, if you're someone who values freedom and flexibility, then this is great news. You should jump on this trend while it's still in its early stages, because it's only going to get more difficult to break away from the traditional workforce as time goes on. But if you're someone who values stability and benefits, then you might want to hold on to your traditional job for as long as possible. As for me, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is why I started this channel. I want to document this transition from a traditional workforce to a more free and flexible work environment. And I want to help as many people as possible make the transition as smooth as possible. If that sounds good to you, then hit the subscribe button. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Until next time, see you.